Bienvenidos a nuestro Open House. Mi nombre es Larisa Hernández y es un gusto darles la bienvenida. Antes de comenzar, les quiero platicar un poco de Universidad Da Vinci. Somos una universidad completamente en línea, con más de 17 años ofreciendo programas innovadores que permiten a nuestros estudiantes desarrollarse académicamente sin sacrificar su vida profesional y personal, brindando flexibilidad y un completo control de sus tiempos de estudio. Nuestra misión es contribuir significativamente a la formación de profesionistas altamente competentes, brindando alternativas educativas flexibles, innovadoras y pertinentes, que les permitan ser capaces de desempeñarse con éxito en el ámbito laboral y social. Un dato importante que les quiero compartir es que somos la primera universidad en México reconocida por la SEP. Algunos de nuestros programas Consejo Nacional de Ciencia y Tecnología, CONACYT. Y sin más preámbulos, es momento de dar inicio a nuestro taller, ICQs and CCQs in Teaching.
Hello, everybody. I don't know if you can hear me because some minutes ago the video was lagging. So could you please be so kind to let me know whether you can hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you.
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much. You know, these internet problems, it's like, yes, a lot of technology, but if the internet fails, then everything fails, all right? So, well, thank you very much. Thank you for being here, and good evening. And I'm very, very glad that you're here, and I am kind of nervous, but let's do our best, okay? So thank you very much. I really hope that what you are about to hear, guys, can help you a little bit more in your teaching practice. I really hope so, all right? And so, as Larissa already mentioned, the name of this, time is ICQs and CCQs in teaching, okay? So, Larissa, could you please play the next? If you're so kind, thank you. Okay. This is going to be a little bit interactive, so I really would like everybody to participate in here. I don't like to be the one talking and talking and talking because this is not what it is about. So if you see this image in here, what can you understand? What is the message, the idea that you can get from it? Anybody, please, don't let me alone. Don't leave me alone.
That the first man is speaking a lot and the other person doesn't understand well what he's saying.
Exactly. Somebody else? Somebody else? No, nobody else? Okay. Yes?
The same thing here. I see someone who's trying to give a message, and the other person, the other person doesn't understand.
Exactly. So how many times have we been in that situation, right? Like when a person is talking to us and we don't quite understand what he's trying to convey. And the most amazing thing is that many times we don't ask what he's trying to convey. And so we just get the wrong message, right? So now let's put this same situation in our teaching setting, okay? And so let's start. Let's imagine that we are in class. We have prepared a wonderful lesson plan and everything is just perfect timing, etc. And so we start. We start with the first activity, and so we have to give instructions, right? And so we give these instructions, which are very clear, very precise and wonderful, right? And then tell me some of the examples that as teachers we might use when given instructions, regardless the activity. There are some like international instructions that we always use. So give me some of them, please. Some? No ideas? No ideas? What are the things that we say? Like open your books on page, I don't know, 13, right? Or take out your notebook. Or what other instructions do you give? We're going to work in trios or we're going to work in pairs, all right? So we are there in front of our group giving all of these wonderful instructions. And suddenly, when we finish, what is the regular question we asked? Anybody? Adriana? Any idea? What is like the next question we ask after finishing all our instructions?
I'm not really sure. Probably, are you ready? Let's start.
Okay, very good. Somebody else?
In my case,
Maybe you can ask about if they have any question about the directions.
Very good. The classical one is any question. And what do our students say? Tell me. What do they say?
They always say yes.
Any question? The answer is yes?
No, they always say no.
Exactly.
No question.
Exactly. Perfect. So any question and everybody says no, right? What other question do we ask? Usually, if not always. Do you understand? That's the classical one. Do you agree with me? And what is the regular answer of our students? What do they answer? Do you understand? And everybody say what? When given instructions, of course, I'm talking about given instructions. Everybody says yes, right? It's really difficult that students say, no, I didn't understand, or I have a question, or whatever. Regularly, students tend to say yes, I understood, and no, there are no questions, okay? So this is like the dream of every single teacher, right? That all our students are understanding the instructions and nobody has questions, right? So we give instructions and everything, and then we go walking around the classroom and monitoring that they are doing what they have been told. And suddenly, what do we find? We find students doing something different from what they have been told. Do you agree with me? Or is it always perfect? Do you have perfect classes? You're very lucky. Tell me. Do you have these kind of students who are always following the exact instructions you just gave?
No, I don't. I have the ones I usually say.
Exactly, right? We go walking.
We need to repeat them many times instructions, or sometimes we need to give them some examples in order that they follow the activities we want to do.
Exactly. What when you go walking around and then you see, for example, if you say, we're going to work in trios, they are working in pairs, right? We're going to go on this page and they are, just passing the pages of the textbook because they didn't know what page they have to be working with. And so you go like, what was wrong? What was the matter, right? If everybody said they didn't have questions. Okay, so you turn and then one student asks you, teacher, could you please repeat what I need to say? To do, I'm sorry. And then you turn to another student and this student asks you the same question, right? So it's exactly like you mentioned before. We have to be repeating instructions over and over because students did not quite understand what we previously said, even though they said they didn't have questions and that they had understood everything, okay? So, one suggestion to avoid this situation, Larissa, could you please go to the next one? One suggestion in order to avoid all these questions, these questions from students is to use ICQs and CCQs. Probably some of you already know what these concepts are about, but probably some of you know. So if you already know what they are, very good. You will help me a lot, and I'm gonna learn a lot from you. But if you don't know, don't worry, we will get down into it, okay? So CCQs and ICQs, which are very common jargon in the teaching practice, okay? So now we are going to imagine that you are my class in this moment, and I am going to give you some instructions, okay? So I need you to pay attention. And so I'm going to address to you like this. Okay, class, we are going to work right now using this handout. And so I have a handout in here. I'm going to distribute it, yes, the way you want. Sometimes we have volunteers who distribute the handouts. Sometimes we just give some of them to the first person in the row, so they distribute them, etc. The way you want, okay? So I have these handouts, and the instructions are these. We're gonna work in trios now, and in the handout, you have some sentences, and you just have to circle the correct answer, okay? Don't worry if you don't know the answer, okay? This is just for me to know how much you know about the topic, and anyway, we will check later. To do this exercise, you have 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, okay? And so those are the instructions. Then, of course, a regular teacher would go again around the classroom, monitoring, and again, right? Again, we have the students who are in pairs. The student, probably in there, we see one student that is working by himself or by herself. And in here, I have this student who is copying something in their notebook. And we go like, what happened, right? I gave these instructions very clear and very precise. So what's going on, okay? So now, in order to avoid this situation and to ensure that everybody understands what they have to do, it is very important then, next one, Larissa, please. Yes, Larissa, next one, if you are so kind. It's important that we ask these questions, okay? So, can somebody help me read these questions if you are so kind?
Are you working
Somebody?
in pairs?
Erica, could you please help me?
Okay.
Yes. Okay, Beatriz, thank you. Now continue with the rest.
So do you want me to read them?
No, well, Beatriz was reading them. Thank you, Erica. Yes.
Do I do it?
Hmm?
Are you working in pairs? Are you taking 5 minutes? Are you going to worry if you don't know the answers?
Exactly. Okay. So the very first suggestion that I have for you is not to give any kind of material. And by any kind of material, I mean the handouts, the copies, the memory game, or colors, or the pieces of paper, or whatever we're going to give us materials. Do not distribute them until everybody has understood what they have to do. Why? Why do you think this is the reason of this is? If I just immediately start delivering material, what do our students regularly do? Tell me, somebody.
Start answering them.
Aha, they don't know what to do, but they immediately start writing. Very good. Something else? Something else? No? Seriously?
Well, some students work a little bit faster, so you can start creating new questions, or it might cause confusion among some other students.
Exactly. Or they will just look at the handout and see, well, do I have a text? Do I have some sentences? Do I have to match? Do I have open questions, closed questions? What do I have to do? Meanwhile, the teacher is in front giving instructions. And so as the students are just checking all the material, they are not really paying attention to what they need to do. So my suggestion for you is not to deliver any kind of material until everybody knows what to do. After that, it is advisable to give all the material, okay? So now, pay attention to what we're gonna do, because I have these questions to elicit if students are really understood the instructions. Larissa, could you please go to the next one? This means I need to ask students, and students need to answer these questions, okay? So do you remember my previous instructions? I am going to ask you the same questions, and please you answer, okay? So people, are we working in pairs? Tell me. So nobody understood the instructions, students? Are we working in pairs? Erica, are we working in pairs?
No, ma'am, we're working in trios.
Okay, thank you very much. Adriana, are you taking 5 minutes to do this activity?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you. Gabriela, are you going to worry if you don't know the answer, the correct answer? Adraina, is it Adraina or Adriana?
You mean me?
Well, I don't know. I have Adraina Mendes, but I don't know if it's Adraina or Adriana.
Okay.
Is it Adriana? I'm just checking your name. Is it Adriana or Adraina? So I can address you in the proper way. I don't know, Larissa, can you hear me? Because I don't know if I'm having problems with, with internet. Okay,
so you're having problems because I can hear you, but your video is not clear enough.
My video is not clear enough. Okay.
Well, for me, it's so clear.
It is clear. Thank you. All right. So let's go with Selene. Selene, are you going to worry if you don't know the correct answer for the activity?
No, we aren't.
Exactly. So if you see, I am eliciting information from my students regarding the instructions I just gave. In this way, I am really going to assess whether instructions were clear. Right now, we have a very similar setting as the one we have in real classes. When we ask when we just ask the question and then nobody wants to answer, unless we go or address directly to some students. And so the rest can hear what the answers are. So everybody is gonna have a clear idea of what they have to do. Okay, so now let's go to a different activity. Let's again imagine you are my class. And so now I am going to tell you, okay, class, now we're gonna have a different activity. And this activity is called Find Someone Who. Due to time, you just have time to interview 3 peers. 3 peers. For this activity, you will have 6 minutes. You have to read the information that you have on the left side of your handout and to go interviewing 3 peers. You will gonna write the name of the person who meets all the requirements of the information you have on the left part. But for this time, we are not gonna do it like the ways we have been doing this before. Now you have to write down the reason why you wrote that name. Is that okay for everybody? Yes, very good. So now, Larissa, could we go to the next one, please? Excellent. So people, are you taking 10 minutes to do this activity? Jasmine, are you taking 10 minutes to do this activity?
I don't know if I remember well, but I think that it's 6 minutes only.
Exactly. Thank you, Jasmine. What about Beatriz? Are you going to interview 2 peers?
No, 3 peers.
Thank you. And Erica, are you going to have just the names of the people?
No, ma'am, the reasons as well.
Exactly. The reasons too. Okay? Excellent. So, in this way, Larissa, please, the next one. People, this is what we call ICQs. And I need a person, whoever, who can read, please, the information that I have in this slide. Please. Anybody?
If you want, I can do it.
Go ahead, Erika.
ICQ stands for Instruction Checking Question. ICQs are used to verify whether the students have understood what they have to do, since most of the times a number of directions are given at the same time.
Exactly. many times not understanding what I have to do is not related to the language, because instructions might be really clear and easy to understand. The situation is as we give several instructions at the same time, students can get lost. But if we have these ICQs, we are, as I mentioned before, we are eliciting whether they are really understanding what they have to do. Anyways, if we teachers have this sixth sense, like to see faces, to read faces, and to see who's not understanding. So we can address the question directly to that student and to say, okay, by name, the question, and so we can elicit his or her answer, so we can really assess, as I've mentioned before, if he or she has understood. Okay? Any comment up to here? No? Okay.
No, that's okay.
Perfect. So this is what is called ICQs, which I think that they are very useful, really, really useful, and this will save time. Do you remember that at the beginning somebody mentioned that we have to be repeating and repeating and repeating, etc., etc.? This will save time for us, and so we can have a better outcome in the process of the class. Okay? So now, this is just for instructions. Now, let's get down into business for real classes. So let's imagine now that we have planned a wonderful class and we are going to see, for example, habits and routines. Okay? Habits and routines. So we always, Larissa, the next one, please. It is very advisable that we can have these marker sentences, so our students can get the idea about systems, okay? So the system, we will see it right now, is present simple. And so I have my, my marker sentence, and I get up at 6 every morning. Every morning. This means Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. Every Monday, okay? So Erica, tell me, is this action something I do every day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Adriana, tell me. Yes, go ahead.
I actually have a question.
Excuse
You're
me?
giving us the prompts in here, but I guess we are not going to give the prompts to our students. So in a real class, you're not going to put those answers, right?
No.
Actually, this is part of this is having the answers over there.
Yes, very good question. This is, and is some of at the end of the session, we will see the rules we have to make CCQs, and this is for you to have them in your lesson plan. You always have to be ahead of your students, so you have to be prepared for any kind of answer they will give you. And we will see just in a moment that CCQs are direct. The answers have to be really short so everybody understands. So these questions and the answers in brackets is for you when you write down your lesson plan. Of course, in real life, I will go just with, is this something I do every day? And everybody should answer yes or no, probably.
Or I don't know.
Or what, excuse me?
Or I don't know.
Well, if the answer is I don't know, it's because probably the meaning is not clear. So as a teacher, I need to repeat what the correct idea from the system is. If the answer is I don't know, then we have to go back and to repeat it again, because this is something that our students.
But what do you have to repeat in there? Do you have to repeat the concept every day, or do you have to repeat the question? Because in there you have to inquire if they understood or not the question, or actually they don't understand the meaning of the word. You have to go deeper than that, don't you think?
Yeah, but for example, in this case, we are just seeing systems, and the system is to talk about routines and habits. So if I get the answer, I don't know, I can repeat it with no problem. Like, okay, no problem. I'm gonna repeat this. I get up at 6 every morning. This means I get up at 6 on Monday, at 6 on Tuesday, at 6 on Wednesday, etc., etc., etc. So my question is this action of getting up something that I do every day, Monday and Tuesday, and I think that question is really clear for students to answer yes or no. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. So of course the answer yes, no, or whatever answer we will see later on is just for you, for your lesson plan. This is not on the board. This is something you do just orally. Is it clear for everybody? Am I making myself clear? Okay, perfect. And
Yes.
so,
and if this report doesn't work, if these type of questions don't work, what do you recommend?
well,
I'm
they
thinking
work
about my
because
teenagers.
yes, they work at the beginning. Probably if your students are not really used to these kind of questions, probably they might feel a little bit, well, I wouldn't say confused, but they might feel probably like, what is this? Because the idea of CCQs is that to have language awareness. That is the goal for CCQs. And if we are not planning for our students to have language awareness, we as teachers are having or are making a big mistake, because systems is not just grammar. System is not just the form. Subject plus verb in simple plus complement. That is the old school. Okay, what we are really aiming to do is for students to have language awareness. So if our students are not following these CCQs, we will have to reformulate our lesson plan, because what's more important for students to know that I have to have a subject, the verb in present simple, the complement, or to be able to talk about habits and routines. We should have asked that. All right, so I don't know what the aim of your class could be. Probably it's a remedial class where you have to, like repeat the system in case students didn't get it quite well. So it has a lot of factors. I should have like the exact setting so I could tell you, but I'm sure that these CCQs are to raise language awareness. So yes, they work. They work. If not, we have to try some other things regarding the way we establish the question, so they can understand that we're not talking about subject, verb, and complement, that we're talking about routines and habits. Is that okay? Yes, so far so good?
Thank you.
Okay, okay, perfect. And so, well, and the second question I would ask orally. Of course, you have this marker sentences because I need you to see it, all right? And so the next question would be, is there do you think this is a routine or a habit? If I do it on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, and then next week, on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday. So people, do you think that this is a routine or a habit? What do you think? Yes? Remember, you're my students. Yes?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, not only present simple is used to talk about habits and routines. Larissa, could you please go to the next one? Thank you. Okay, look at this marker sentence. And I have, the train leaves at 6 o'clock on Monday. Today is Thursday. Okay, so pay attention to this sentence, to this idea, and I need you to tell me if the train leaves the same hour Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, or just on Mondays. What do you think? Just on Mondays or every single day? Tell me. Gabriela, what do you think? Gabriela, can you hear me? I guess not, right? Okay, Jasmine, what do you think? Is this an activity that is every single day or just Mondays? Jasmine. Larissa, the audio is okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Adriana, what do you think? Is it something that happens regularly or just on Mondays?
It happens just on Mondays.
Exactly. So, Adriana, tell me, do you think this is a routine? Something that happens every single day? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, very good, Jasmine, very good. And Gabriela, let's see now she can hear me. Gabriela, is this event taking place now or in the future? No. Okay. Adriana Cibrian, what do you think? Is this an activity that is taking place now or in the future?
May I answer?
No.
In the future.
In the future. Yeah, thank you. In the future, exactly. So as you can see, once again, we are not talking about subject, verb, and complement. We are talking about the meaning of present simple. And present simple, as I said before, is to be used to talk about either routines or habits or timetables in the future. So you see, this is the reason why these CCQs are so important, because it depends on the aim of your class, of your lesson. If you're going to talk about routines and habits, or if you're going to talk about timetables in the future, all right? So that's why we really need to have this language awareness as teachers so we can transmit it to our students, okay? So far, so good? So far, so good?
Yes.
Excellent. Larissa, next one, please. And is there a person who could help me read this, if you're so kind?
May I?
Of course, Beatriz. That's why you have that name, because we participate a lot, right?
Thank
Awesome.
you. CCQ stands for concept checking questions. CCQs are designed to verify the meaning of systems, vocabulary, or functional expressions. Concept equals essential meaning.
Exactly. Okay. So this is like the main aim for CCQs, to check the essential meaning. Remember, we're not focusing on form, subject, verb, complement. No, not the form. We're checking the meaning. And now, as Beatriz or Betty already read, these CCQs are not just used for grammar. We can also have vocabulary or functional expressions. Like the next one, please, Larissa. Okay, let's imagine we have vocabulary class, or we need to have vocabulary in order to have a text-based class, or probably for a listening, because as we all know, we cannot just play the listening or give the text, right? We have to have a pre, while, and post activities, so our students can understand both texts, oral and written, okay? So I have this marker sentence in here, and so it goes. It took me ages to learn to drive. And the word we're gonna learn today is gonna be ages, okay? So it took me ages to learn to drive. Erica, tell me, how long did I need to learn to drive? What do you think? A long time or a short time?
A long time.
Erika, thank you very much. And Adriana Sibian, tell me, the word ages, because then if it took me a long time, do you think that the word ages is a formal word or a more informal word? What do you think, Adriana?
A more informal word.
Thank you, Adriana. So you see, next one, Larissa, if you're so kind. I have another word in here. So the sentence is, my dog finally learned how to do tricks. Okay, finally. So now let's see, that Betty, how long did he need to do tricks? Do you think it was a long period of time or a short period of time? What do you think?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, so I think that
My dog finally. A long time. Okay, thank you. Very good, Selene. What about the activity itself? Do you think it was easy for my dog or was it difficult for him to do tricks?
It was difficult.
Perhaps, right? Perhaps, Eleni. Exactly. So, people, as you can see, not only CCQs work for systems, it also works for lexis. So it is a great tool so we can really ensure that our students are really, really, really understanding the essential meaning of the system we are teaching or the lexis we are teaching. So far, so good. Do you have any comment, any question?
No, thanks. Everything is clear.
Yes? Okay, awesome. Very good. So now, the next question then that I have for you would be, why? Why, before going to the next slide, I would like you to answer. Why do you think there that CCQs are so important? Why? Any idea, please? Larissa, I cannot see the presentation anymore. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So could, Larissa, could we go to the next slide if you're so kind? Larissa? Thank you. So why? Why to use CCQs? Why is this so important? Can somebody help me read the three numbers? Betty, you're super participative in this class, so could you please help me with the three numbers?
The three
Yes,
ones?
please.
They are an efficient and effective form of verifying that our students have understood something. Two, they always work since the concept is always the same. There might be some exceptions where the meaning is partly depend upon the context, but simple adaptation to the CCQ will take care of this. Number three, they are also useful tools since they help develop the teacher's language awareness.
And I need you to pay attention to point number two. Why? Because the meaning, the essential meaning is always the same. This means present simple is always for habits, routines, or timetables. Got it? That's why it's so important to have these CCQs. The concepts never change. It's not that tomorrow we wake up and then present simple will be to talk about, I don't know, describing images, for example. That is another system, right? That is present continuous. So this is the reason why it's so important, okay? Because the concepts of systems or the lexis will always be the same. So this is the reason why. Okay, now the next one would be when do you think CCQs would be a very good idea to use? Erika, tell me. Oh well, I'm gonna go with Selene. Selene, tell me, when do you think they are useful? Any idea?
When we are presenting a new topic or a new lesson.
Perfect. Very good. So Larissa, could you please move to the next one? So Selene, could you please be so kind to help me with this?
When to use CCQs. When a new piece of language is introduced and we need to make sure that the correct meaning is understood.
Is what you said. Thank you. And then?
When the item of the language is complex or does not exist in first language or it is used in a different way. Number three, it is very good correction technique to remind our students something they might have forgotten or to get our students to think about the concept of a piece of language they're using. For instance, one student says, I visit my grandmother next weekend. We need to ask, is it something you do every weekend? Is it an arrangement?
And so pay attention because this example is very classical, at least with my students, right? I'll visit my grandmother next weekend. Whoa. And so with two very simple ICQs, you can elicit whether this student is getting the meaning of the system. So, okay, is this something that you do every weekend? Every weekend? What would be the answer? Is this something we do every weekend? I visit my grandmother next weekend. What do you think? We have a new person, Juliet. What do you think about this statement? I visit my grandmother next weekend. Do you think it is something you do every weekend?
No, it's actually referring to that weekend, but I mean, I can't really listen to the class really good because I have really bad connection. I'm so sorry.
No, no problem. But yes, indeed, it's not something that happens every weekend. And so the second question then would be, is it an arrangement, Juliet? What do you think? Is it an arrangement? I visit my grandmother next weekend.
I think that it is an arrangement because she probably does some other things, and she's planning on going to her grandmother's house that weekend specifically.
Exactly, perfect. So the correct sentence or idea would be, I'm visiting my grandmother next weekend. So you see, in this case, we are having this language awareness that is very important for our students. As long as they are aware of the system, then they won't fail in the future. It's totally different if I just teach subject, I'm Isar, verb with ing, complement. It's like, what's that? But if I teach them that present continuous is to talk about a range of future arrangements, they can get that idea very easy and very quickly, okay? Very good. Now, the next question I have for you is, how many CCQs do you think would be the best number so our students can get the meaning, either in Lexis or in systems? Tell me, just give me a number. What do you think? Jasmine, what do you think? How many do you think it would be good?
I think that there is not a number because you can do it again and again and again. The times that you need.
Perfect. I like that. The time that it requires so our students can really have this language awareness. Perfect. So, Larissa, could you please go to the next one? Jasmine, could you please be so kind to read this?
Yes, of course. It really depends on how complex the new piece of language is. There might be between 2 or 5. Do not use them if instructions are too simple.
Exactly. If it's too simple, don't waste time on it, all right? But yeah, I totally agree with Jasmine. I don't know the rest of you, but definitely, if a student is, well, if a student is not getting it, perhaps we're doing something wrong. And perhaps we are just focusing in the form and not in the meaning. And that is very, very important because I said before, it's different to say subject, verb in present simple, complement, than to say, okay, if you're going to talk about routines, you have to use present simple, which is, this is the form, okay? Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, the next slide, it would be some kind of rules so you can have CCQs. So Larissa, could we move to the next one if you're so kind? There we go. So how to make CCQs? Because yeah, you're telling me all of this, but is there like a recipe, or where can I find these? Are some CCQs for certain systems and lexis? Well, here would be like the recipe, okay? So let me go with Gabriela. Could you please read number 1? I don't know if Gabriela can already hear me. I guess not, right? Okay, Juliet, could you please read number 1?
Yeah, sure. Oh, can you hear me?
Sure.
I can't actually see the screen.
You cannot see the screen?
No, I have really bad connection right now.
All right, no problem,
it's
no
all
problem. Sure, no problem. Adriana Mendez, could you please help me with number 1? No? All right, Erika, please help me with number 1. We're about to finish, girls. Yes.
Sure. Break down the concept of the item into a series of statements of meaning. The dictionary may be helpful if the item is a piece of vocabulary.
Okay, what does this mean? What is it breaking down the concept? Larissa, could you please go to the next one? And no, not that one. The next one. Is it the next? Nope. Could you please go back? Yeah. Well, no problem. What does this mean? What is it to break down the system? Let's imagine that I am going to teach used to, right? And then I have my sentence on the board, my marker sentence that is always used as a reference, and I can write, he used to play football. So as a teacher, I really need to be aware of when I am going to use this structure, used to. So the first one would be, he doesn't play football nowadays. The second would be, he played football in the past. And the third one would be, he played football many times in the past. And then from that, if I go in this number to number 3, in number 3, you have turn the statements into questions. So my first statement was, he doesn't play football nowadays. The CCQ then could be something like, does he play football nowadays? Girls, what do you think? Give me the answer. Does he play football nowadays? Hello, somebody?
Sorry, man, I don't know if it's my internet, but I cannot hear you or see your, especially your video. It's awful.
My video is awful. I'm gonna close my camera. I'm sorry, so everybody can understand better. So if I have the marker sentence, he used to play football. Tell me, does he play football nowadays?
No.
He doesn't, right? Very good, excellent. Now, the second statement was, he played football in the past. If I change that into a question for the CCQ, would be something like, did he play football in the past? What's the answer for that?
Yes.
Yes. And finally, if I break down the concept, the third one would be, he played football many times in the past. So the way I can make the question, like in number 3, so I can have the CCQ, would be something like, did he play football only one time or many times in the past? What do you think?
Many times.
Many times, exactly. Thank you, Erika. So this means that used to is gonna be to talk about something that happened repeatedly in the past. This means a habit, but now it's in the past. Okay. If we continue with that, I just have 1 more minute. You have to make sure that the statements of meaning are expressed in simple language. Do not get fancy words or words that can confuse your students. Number 3, as we already mentioned, we need to turn these statements into questions. All right. The questions should be concise and simple. The language you use might be simple and simpler than the language that you're checking. The question should not normally use the language you're checking. For example, I have an example for this. Imagine that again, you have used to. The CCQ cannot be, did I used to play football? That's not correct because you're using the same structure. So if it's not clear for students and then the CCQ includes this structure, then your students will be lost, okay? Sort the questions into a logical order, write down the correct answer you expect the learners to give. That's why in all of my CCQs and ICQs, you have the answer in parentheses. Then the answer should be short and simple. Yes, no, maybe, or whatever word. No, yeah. And if the answer, if your students answer incorrectly, you need to state the correct answer and provide clarification, because then it means that something we didn't explain quite well. So that's why they're having these confusions, okay? Okay. Larissa, next one, please. Larissa, thank you. So to conclude, ICQs and CCQs are forms to provide explicit instruction. This means that it is the constant monitoring of a student understanding to ensure they are comprehending the meaning of instructions. Okay? And next one, if you are so kind, Larissa, all of this material was taken from Concept, Questions, and Timelines, which is a very good book. I recommend it very much, by Workman. And the next one, Larissa, just to finish, thank you very much. I really hope that these simple suggestions can help you in your teaching practice. Thank you very much. I don't know if you have any question or if you have questions in the chat or somewhere. Okay, Gabriela, I'm sorry, I was not aware of the chat. Okay, do you have any question, any comment? Larissa, could you please go to the previous one so they can see the name of the book where all this information was taken from? So if you can get the book, this will help you a lot. Thank you. Okay, any question, any comment? Nothing? Well,
Muchas gracias, licenciada.
Thank you very much, everybody. And well, I hope that this can be useful for you. Thank you.
Los invito a que se queden hasta el final, ya que tenemos sorpresas para ustedes. En este momento daremos inicio a la sección de preguntas y respuestas. Pueden abrir su micrófono o escribir en el chat para que la maestra Beatriz pueda responderles.
Hola, buenas noches. Bueno, lo que pasa es que yo entré un poquito tarde a la clase por lo mismo de que todo el día he tenido problemas de conexión. Pero sí, mi pregunta es, ¿vamos a tener estas sesiones cada semana o nada más fue esta sesión?
Fue esta sesión, se quedó grabada, igual puedes ingresar a Facebook y puedes ahí revisar lo que fue este tema.
Ah, ok, sí, muchas gracias.
Por nada, alguien que tenga alguna duda que quiera preguntar a la maestra Beatriz. Ok, me parece que no hay ninguna duda. Comentan que estuvo todo claro, que muchas gracias. Igualmente les damos las gracias por acompañarnos. Muchas gracias a la licenciada Beatriz Quintana Abrego por brindarnos el taller de ICQs and CCQs in Teaching. Y a todos ustedes que nos estuvieron acompañando, muchas gracias.